very good day to you, brothers and sisters in Christ and fellow friends. Now, it is frustrating when you need approval or a decision for your work and you find that the process takes ages. You may complain why your management cannot give a simple answer to a simple question. Now, in the last session, we discussed about the span of control, meaning the number of people reporting directly to you. Now, that is actually horizontal. Today, let's talk about bureaucracy. But what is bureaucracy? Now, the bureaucracy consists of rules, procedures, policies, standardization, and hierarchy of authority. They are good, but sometimes they may be rigid and could also be a stumbling block or stopgap for decision making. Typically, many levels of management exist in a bureaucracy. Now, you may find an organization with CEO, MD, then followed by a general manager. Then after that, you have senior manager, departmental manager, line manager, whatever you call it, supervisor before it reaches your level. Now, so it is vertical, so to speak. Bureaucracy affects the morale and motivation of employees. It also deprives creativity among the employees who will leave the company stagnant. Now, any push for a particular decision is pushed up through the hierarchy to the highest ranking officials. That means to say that you have like senior management, the general management, or even CEO, MD, they want to make even the smallest decision. Now, this process can make change and the implementations of change slow in a bureaucracy, as directives and feedback to this directive must travel through all levels of the hierarchy between the source and the destination. There are some examples of very obvious bureaucracy. For example, the expense report approval. Now, you want to go through everyone, you want to check every single detail, then the approval takes so long. Since when do you think that the employees become the banks that they have to do such detail? You may even find that when you want to apply leave, want to take leave for vacations, and then do you need the whole company really to agree your leave and where you want to go? Because if you want to send all the way to your CEO to approve your leave. How about budget planning and forecasting? Is that important for that process to take place than the reality of the budget, the forecasting? So sometimes people will go into very, very detailed, the paperwork. That is very obvious bureaucracy. And when it comes to capital expenditure approval, many times you find that after you have actually gotten the budget was actually approved, but when you need to do the spending, you still need to go through all the level until that you have your finance manager, your CFO, etc. to basically approve it, including your weekly report, monthly report, or whatever sales report that you have to generate, you have to run, you have to write, but does anybody even read them? So you may find it very frustrating when you go through that process. Have you ever bypassed the system or SOP, right, that standard operating procedure of your company to get something done for your customers, or even getting things done for your colleagues without following their policy? Jump queue is the word, right? We often hear jumping queue. Now, this is what we call not so obvious kind of bureaucracy in the workplace. Too much paperwork is another problem. By the time you fill up all the necessary documents, you probably have already missed or surpassed your required deadlines. So let's come back and take a look at the Bible. What does the Bible tell us about bureaucracy? Now, in the New Testament, there's a passage, Matthew chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. Now, this passage is very familiar. It's talking about the Lord and Sabbath. Jesus is actually the Lord of Sabbath. Because the story tells us that on Sabbath day, Jesus' disciples, they were hungry and began to pick some heads of grains and eat them. Now, you know that when the Pharisees saw that, they accused them of breaking the Sabbath law. Now, the Pharisees' intention was to safeguard God's blessings through the strict observation of the observance of their interpretations of the Torah. Now the end result, however, was that the people were restricted from God's presence. Likewise, bureaucracy is often guilty of restricting people from what is most beneficial to the organization. And when we take a look at the Bible passage, we know that Jesus did not waver despite the oppositions that he faced, especially the Pharisees. He was intent to transform the structure of the prevailing organization of his day during his time. In doing so, he exhibited the characteristic of classic charismatic leader. His motive was his agenda and his vision of the way things should be. Now, charismatic leadership is well suited to confront bureaucracy structured organizations, especially when dealing with change. A leader who is confronting bureaucracy should exhibit the following characteristic. Firstly, a strong sense of visions and direction in spite of obstacles, even when the obstacles include the voices and opinions of others. Secondly, a healthy dose of self-confidence that enables them to weather opposition. And last but not least, it's actually a commitment to personal convictions regardless of cost. So these are the types of things that constitute the charismatic leadership style that Jesus often exhibited when confronting the bureaucracy of his day or during his time. So Matthew chapter 12 verses 1 to 8, that passage, that account in the Bible reveal that hunger supersedes protocol. In doing so, Jesus implied that people's needs took precedence over institutional rules. Now, in the present context, we are not dealing with Sabbath, but we may encounter with very rigid policies, rules, and procedures in the workplace that may be outdated or even irrelevant, which is due for improvements. So it is important that we review those policies and rules. So they are like the law of Moses observed by the Pharisees. Jesus has also shown us an example how we may confront bureaucracy. Now, he was motivated by an agenda and vision of the way things should be, an agenda and vision that he had personalized within himself. So such style of leadership remains a viable option in dealing with bureaucracy today. So do like what Jesus did, brothers and sisters. May God bless you.